This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com.
After I finished my 3 weeks in Pensacola, which I broke even, I was very thrilled to break even, but I was running a little short on money. When I was taken out to, he took me out in the hall and he said, "Hey, I gotta, you're finishing up, in a couple of days. I just got to tell you, this was Bob Armstrong. I appreciate all you've done here. I feel like you've grown a little bit just in these 3 weeks. And it takes a while to get this business." He said, "What are you going to do now?" I mean, he remembered that I'd quit my job.
Yeah.
That meant a lot to me. If you read between the lines, he actually remembered my story and was asking, "What's next?" He said, I can call Bill Watts, get you booked straight away from here for TV next week." I said, "Great." And I went out. I did 2 TVs for Bill Watts. He said, "So what's your story?" I told him. He says, "Well, I tell you what, you go back. I won't be able to use you to the next set of TVs, which are next week, next Tuesday." He said, "You go home and get your stuff. You come back, you start at TV next week."
Hang tight for a minute. When you say, "I want you to, or I can call Bill Watts," I'm not saying this to be funny. Did you know who Bill Watts was?
Oh, sure.
So I know
wrestling magazines.
Okay. So you were watching Georgia TV, but through wrestling magazines, you knew who Bill Watts was, but you had never met Bill, of course. Did you know anything about his reputation? Did you ask any of the guys in the locker room, like, "Hey, what do you know about Watts?" Or are you just going out there sort of cold?
Well, I also knew Bill Watts and in those days, the fact that he owned his own territory never came up anywhere. Again, kayfabe, right?
Right.
So when I found out that I was going out there to work for him, I really didn't know anything about him because the one thing I knew, he was brought in, much like Dusty Rhodes was, to Georgia Championship Wrestling, TBS, to get that exposure when they would have a big match like in the Omni or something. I knew he was a heavy hitter. So then I learned my lesson. I asked Ted, "Okay, what should I do?" He goes, "Bill Watts is very strict. You need to buddy up with somebody out there, find out what the rules are, because you just can't, there's no one you can just go up and ask, okay, what are the rules? Because they're unwritten."
Right.
You either learn them by osmosis, somebody takes you under their wing or something, but it's not like you walk in, sit down, the booker grabs you and goes, "Okay, here's what we do here. Bang, 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 bang. Here's what we don't do here. Bang, 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 bang." So it's keeping your ears open and your mouth shut and just kind of reading between the lines helped you quite a bit in those days.
Isn't it weird that this is probably the only business I know of where just asking questions could get you heat? Meaning you might actually rub somebody the wrong way or annoy them or hurt your standing or opportunities or potential opportunities with the company. Even if you ask something as simple as, "Hey, what are the rules?" It's almost expected. "Well, you're supposed to know that." Well, shit, I just drove here from Rome. I don't even know where I'm at, much less what the rules are. Right.
And so many of them had the same story and somehow overcame it.
Yeah.
They didn't want to hear it.
Yeah.
It really would. If you asked the wrong question, if you said something stupid, like, and you even ask it in the right way, I know every territory is different. What are the do's and don'ts and what are the guidelines? They would have looked at me and go, "What the hell are you talking about?
Yeah.
This is an ad lib business, all of it."
Yeah.
And it was at that time. Nothing was planned other than outcomes, and you had to fill in the rest of it. And my first match, when I got to Watts, I walk in Baton Rouge. Again, I'm looking around. Up walks the referee, and he goes, "Okay, what's your name?" "Okay, da-da-da-da-da, I heard you were coming in, da-da-da-da. You'll be with Kamala."
Time out. I want to ask when you're standing in that hallway backstage in Pensacola and Bob says, I can call Bill Watts for you. Does he call Bill from like a payphone and put you on the phone? Or does he just say, I'll call Bill Watts and then I'll call you and give you his number and you can call? Or how does that work? How does the handoff to you and Bill work?
This was prior when he first pulled me into a room backstage.
Yeah.
This was before the show, and he asked me if I wanted him to call Bill Watts. I said I would be in your debt. He says, okay, I'll get back to you. That same night, like right after intermission, he said, you got a starting date for TVs. You go out and do what you've done here, and you'll have a crack at getting some work.
So you don't actually talk to Bill before you make the trek out?
Nope. I don't think I ever talked to Bill.
So let's talk.
6 months. In 6 months.
So it's lined up for you. You're told, all right, it's TVs. And I assume, like, I just seriously doubt, you got to appreciate the context is what I'm trying to drive to for our audience here. It's not like now where you could just, hey, I'll send you a text message with the address. Well, that's not a thing. So does he say just be at the building and so, or does he name the building, or does he give you the address? How the shit do you know where to be?
He said they do their television. He said he would like to have a look at you, come out for the 2 TVs. And Bob said, I believe they do their television. I know it's in Shreveport at the Boys Club or something like that. So I would just get there early and be ready for anything.
So you show up to town, you drive out. Is Pee Wee with you for this trip?
So we go back to Rome, and now I'm thinking, Jesus. Well, okay, we went from Pensacola straight to TV. So we haven't went back to Rome yet.
Okay.
We drive straight out. We go to Shreveport, get there a day early. Go down, find the building. I guess we probably got there at 10 o'clock in the morning the next day,
right,
which was a little early in those days. I think you had to be there for interviews probably at 11 in the morning or something. And then you had TV that night. I got there way, way early, which would have been very conspicuous. Me hanging out. I figured out nobody was there yet. So we got some lunch. And when we came back, by then they were starting interviews and all that. Grizzly Smith came up and introduced himself to me. Hey, I'm Bill's road agent, pretty much run all the towns. Glad to have you. We're going to use you on TV tonight and tomorrow night. Now, Bill Watts was segregated away, secluded from the boys. He had his own office, his own headset, guys running messages back and forth.
It was very Vince-like.
Yes, very much. And the one thing, just seeing him from a distance, like a lot, like Arn Anderson and, Vince and Bill Watts, very intimidating for a young guy. Had that big booming voice. He was a big guy. He spoke with conviction. And so I had my 2 TV matches. Grizzly came up to me and said, we'd like to offer you a starting date. We're not sure how long it'd be. It could be, 3 weeks. It could be 6 months. We'll see how you do. Go home. Where do you live? Rome. Yep. Go home, get your clothes and come back. So now Pee Wee and I, that's a pretty good haul from Shreveport to Rome.
Yeah.
We drive back home and I go, okay, man, you've been with me this far. You want to head back out there? Because he still didn't have a job. He had nothing holding him back. No girlfriend, no wife, no job, no nothing. He said, I'll go with you, brother. So we headed back out there, and that started the adventure.
So I want to circle back to, you come into the building, you meet Grizzly Smith. You knew Grizzly from the magazines, or did you know him?
I had no idea who he was.
But he's a very tall individual. And so you knew, okay, this guy probably used to be a wrestler, right? You can do 2 and 2.
Figuring that out. And large, not just tall. Yeah. Large.
He's a big fella. So he makes his way over to you. And I know this sounds silly, but this is what we want to know. Do you say, Hello, sir. Marty Lundy. I wrestle as Arn Anderson. I guess at that point, you're not Arn
I'm not
Anderson. So you're just introducing yourself as Marty Lundy.
And I stayed Marty Lundy for that 6 months that I was with Watts. But yeah, when he walked in the room, I saw him look at me, and I knew I had pulled a chair all the way back in the farthest corner against the wall. I knew to do that. And when he walked
Stay
in,
out of the way and be respectful, right?
Get out of everybody's way. If they want, if they need me, they will come, and I was smart enough to know they will give me the information that I need, which would have probably just been who your opponent is, when you're on, and sabida.
Minute to finish. Yeah.
So, when he walked in, he looked over at me, and when he started walking towards me, it was pretty clear there was nobody else in that line of sight for him. So I got up and met him, introduced myself, made sure before he introduced himself, and just said, thank you for having me. And I think that kind of eased a little bit of the tension on my part, just seeing that here is this huge man who is in charge for a wrestling company actually talking to me. So, wow. So that helped break the ice a little bit.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.